I'm ready.
Okay. So to start with, can you describe your siblings for me? Tell me a little bit about each of your siblings.
About what?
Talk a
About
little
your
slower and a little clearer. You have to say that question again. We didn't hear you.
Okay. Can you describe your brothers and sisters for me?
Describe them. I might get in trouble here. um, well, my oldest is a brother, and he's 4 years older than I am. And he was wonderful. We lived in very poor situations. But my brother was one of these that he always wanted to be clean and organized. Now that was hard to do the way we were living. And so, because my mother wasn't organized. But he was cheerful and happy. He used to take me a lot of places when he went. He kind of watched over me. And so he was a very caring kind of person. But the best thing about him is that he was happy and easygoing. And he worked hard. Charlie really worked hard. I used to go with him when he had jobs like picking tomatoes. We did that too. But we did a lot of strawberries and things like that. Well, when I would go with him, now I was younger because he passed away when I was 13. So we're talking about all the years younger than that. But when we'd go to work in the fields and that, they used to have me go into the house and do dishes and clean inside. And then they'd pay me the same amount as they paid him. But anyway, he was very liked. The principal really liked him. So the principal at school, we lived in Midvale. Mandeville is where I used to. But we lived in Midvale, Utah. And the principal there was Mr. Ashman. And Mr. Ashman took a liking into Charlie. And so he used to let Charlie come to school real early in the morning and shower and take care of himself. Because we used to just have the little basin at home, and we lived again in some bad situations. So, but he was and he taught me a lot to aspire more than the way we were living. And so that's why he joined the Army, because he felt like there was more of a chance to get an education and, kind of go on with his life. And he loved my mother dearly. My dad, they had some contention all along the way, but he handled all of that in growing up. That's why I say he was a very kind type of a person. And he played the guitar. That was another thing. He played the guitar. And he loved horses, so he used to take me horseback riding from time to time. And I really enjoyed being with him, because it took me away from how we were living, because he was different. And so being around him, I became a little different than my family, because I wanted more sometimes out of life. But anyway, he was one that I looked up to and wanted to be around. And then my sister Bernice, she's 13 months younger than I am, and whereas I was an introvert and quiet, my sister was opposite. She didn't let back in those days, of course, it's the same in today's world too. You always have the bullies, and you always have the, yeah, I had to contend with that all the time because they didn't really do much about it. And so, anyway, whereas they used to terrorize me, and I used to, I learned to run fast when I was a kid.
Oh,
Yeah, because you had to. As soon as I got out of school, man, I had to make it for home because we didn't have a school bus. And it was about, I went back and I kind of measured how far it was, and it was a good mile, maybe a mile and a half, something like that. But it was a ways from, it was probably about a mile and a half to two because it was quite a ways. And so the trick is as soon you got out of school, you just hightailed it for home. And because sometimes they'd follow you and they'd make me walk in the ditch in the water. And one time they were making me do that, and this girl came up and she said, I don't think she likes that, referring to me. And she says, you don't like that, do you, June? And I looked at her and I didn't know what to say because these other girls were going to beat me up if she left. So I wanted her to stay with me. So I said, well, maybe I do and maybe I don't. Now that was an answer to give to somebody, but I didn't know what to say to her. And because I didn't want to admit that I was really in misery. And but she saved me that time, and I always thought about that girl. I never knew her name, but I always thought about her because I always thought maybe on the way home she'd be somewhere along the way and protect me.